People don't want to be marketed to.
Right.
They want to go do their own research. People are smart enough to go. You don't need to be heavy-handed to drive people to the sales process. You're a company. I'm at your website. Obviously, you're selling something. But if we build trust and a rapport, if you're providing value through the content, if I ask questions you're responding back to, if there's that connection, and the more we connect, the better the information, the richer, the more specific it is for my needs, then we're more likely to have that. And when I ask that question, if there's a real human being that is plugged in and I'm able to connect at the right time, you're more likely to close that business.
Right. Hello and welcome everybody to a whole new episode of your favorite CX show, the Engati CX show. I'm your host Rahul, and today you guys are in for a treat again. And we have a digital business transformation expert with us on the show today. But before I introduce you to our amazing guests, allow me to introduce you to the magic of Engati. Now, Engati is the world's leading multilingual no-code chatbot platform available across 14 channels with 35,000 bots created across 186 countries in every domain and use case. Engati has also been recognized as a top platform by Inc.com, TechWorld, CIO, and many others. We run the Engati blog, the video channel, and the Engati CX podcast, of course, receiving upwards of 400,000 visitors annually. And now for our guest is none other than Buckley. He is an award-winning technology evangelist. He is the founder and CEO of CollabTalk LLC. He is an expert in digital marketing technology, enterprise collaboration, and workplace productivity technology with an MBA in technology management and a patent on a method for B2B collaborative viral adoption. So welcome to the show, Kristen. Such an honor to have you on board.
Oh, it's great to participate.
Appreciate that. So shooting the first question to you, I guess, and it's a crazy time and there's a lot of digital marketing going on. So how can companies use technology to boost this digital marketing game? And do you have any examples of companies using these digital marketing technologies to boost their game?
Yeah, look, I think that there's when you talk about digital marketing, there's such a broad scope of different categories that are within that, and I think a mistake a lot of organizations make when they go out and say, "Hey, we want to hire somebody on to run our marketing now," and there's this certain idea that I think the majority of people, when they're saying that, they're in their minds they're thinking SEO, SEM. They want somebody to manage ads and display ads and text ads and search engine advertising and kind of optimize for that without really kind of understanding all of the various components that are kind of across the scope. Mm-hmm. You think about that. Companies are using it to boost. I mean, one kind of a baseline activity is to go in and look at your website itself and to say, well, what is the messaging and positioning of my products or services, and make sure that there are ways to drive people. And it comes down to kind of sales and marketing alignment, drive people down to those conversion activities to get them what they want, what you as a company wants. So everything that's on your site should be driving people, delivering value, delivering information to help them make a decision to move them down to that next conversion activity. And if it's not doing that, then you're not going to have a very performant website. You're going to spend a lot of time. It's not just about making it pretty. It's about having it functional and providing data so that you can learn, hey, we just paid thousands of dollars on this advertising campaign for the last 30 days. What did we actually get back out of that? So what is the attribution for all of the different efforts that we made? But the website is a place to start on that first piece. And then, of course, you have other components. You've got the search engine marketing, the search engine optimization activities. You have email marketing. You have content marketing activities. You have reels. We were just talking before we started recording. Event marketing, field marketing activities, virtual or in person. You have the branding aspect, the PR aspect. You have all of these different things, all of which have certain KPIs or measurements to help you identify whether they're performing or not. But the struggle or the I guess the task for a chief marketing officer in this day and age is not to go down and focus on any one or two specific things, but looking across all of those different channels and making sure they're driving towards those same activities. And at the end of the day, that you are able to measure and as best you can. It's an ongoing battle because the technology changes on a daily basis. Your customer requirements change, your products and services adjust to the market needs. All of those things you're constantly tuning, but it's a drive towards those conversion activities. So you asked the second half of your question, like, are there companies that are doing that really well? Mm-hmm. Look, the segment I work in, I work predominantly within the Microsoft ecosystem, a Microsoft partner. My customers are almost entirely ISVs or independent software vendors in the Microsoft ecosystem. So I'm a registered Microsoft partner. I'm also, if you're familiar with the Microsoft ecosystem, I am a Microsoft MVP as well as a regional director, which is an unpaid advisory group. There's about 220 of us RDs globally that provide guidance back to Microsoft. Right. And so most of the companies I deal with are in that space. There are some companies that do that very well. Two off the top. Companies like, if you know the ecosystem, AvePoint and ShareGate, they're both competitors. Both do have really strong marketing organizations. You go take a look at either of their websites. A lot of what's happening on the back end, they're aware of who's on their site at any given time. If you're breathing on their website and you've downloaded, you've attended a webinar or downloaded an ebook or anything where they've collected your information, through their process, and of course matching all of the GDPR and other standards globally. But they're aware of that and they're following that pattern, and they will then start personalizing or catering their content to the patterns of behavior that they see from you on the website, driving you towards that conversion activity, which is to read more, find out more about it, but stay, not just, hop back off the website. Two, to try something. I refer to it as, learn, try or buy. And so that try is that you download something, a free version. I want to get my hands dirty. I want to see it for myself. And then, of course, when they've made that decision where they're ready to buy something, you don't want to do as an organization is make it difficult for somebody to click and send you money, to put more steps in their way. It's like, no, if you want to buy something, I'll shut up, just purchase, put it through.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting how you speak, because this is not, it's not a one size fit all. I mean, it's like
definitely not.
Yeah. There's a lot of branches to it. And it requires a lot of understanding of how the human psychology works too. Like, for example, like you mentioned, people just, if they want to buy something, just put it straight through, like don't even do the small talk and just, finish the business right there, because people are impatient at today's day and age. So yeah, totally agree.
There's a big difference as well between a transactional product, something that I can just go and put in my credit card information and purchase, versus something that's more solution centric or services based, where there needs to be a conversation to figure out exactly what it is. Like consulting companies approach me all the time, like, how can we drive more business this way? But also, depending on the age and maturity of the company and the brand itself, it may be that you'll benefit more from just pure branding awareness activities, things that are out there just to get people familiar before you mature your campaigns and your strategy into something that's more transactional. So it really depends. And that's why, look, they call it a marketing mix. I mean, when I took my first marketing class back in university in the late 80s, I mean, we learned about the marketing mix, and so it's constant adjustment of those various components of the C's. Is it the P's? I was thinking of cost, but product, price, placement, promotion, and then there's other people have added other P's to that list. Yeah. But you think, is it, what is the product itself, the product or service that I'm doing? How is that priced? How am I promoting it? How is it positioned that's out there, the placement of it within that? And And if something's not working, you adjust those various levers. Do we need to add new features to it? Do we need to raise the price or drop the price? Are we on the bottom shelf at the grocery store? Does it need to be up at eye level to maximize that? How we're promoting it? Do we have the wrong promotions in place when we've targeted the personas? We're going after the CEO, and really we need to get the director of IT, somebody that's much more hands-on. All those factors come into play when you're building your marketing strategy. And so you can't just look at even your closest competitors. You can have very different factors in how you market your services against your competitors. Because one, you want to stand out. But two, you might be going after different profiles, different personas in a different way than your direct competitors.
Right. It has to be tailored according to what your business is and who you cater to. Definitely agree to that. But talking about these digital marketing technologies, and like you mentioned, there are so many ways to do it. But what, according to you, are the key areas where these digital marketing technologies would help?
Well, so one is you can't make these decisions without data. And while it's, look, as I said before, attribution, knowing who's clicking, where they're clicking, when they're clicking, why they're clicking, that's hard to do. That's hard to capture. It's very detailed. It means that you have tracking, you've got cookies all over your website, and all the rules around cookies are changing as well. You got to be aware of that. But you've got tracking all over your website. It has to be permission driven. So people, when you've given them free information, I'm a huge advocate of content marketing for this reason, is because it's a way for people to give you permission to market to them, and that you can tailor your marketing based on that. But you have this data, and based on the data, you make certain decisions. You make decisions based on the best data that you have, the information that you have, and you move forward. You learn more, and then you adjust that strategy. And so as the kinds of tools, again, having those metrics, having those cookies, the tracking capabilities on your website is key. As you go and develop content, and you have landing pages for a webinar, and you have a white paper or an ebook that people can download, or they're watching a video on demand after the fact. All of those have tracking mechanisms. Every email that you send out, what people respond back to or not, what they look at, all of which gives you a deeper profile. Having that integrated into your CRM platform, so that when a customer or a prospect calls you, you're not guessing about what their needs are. You know that they downloaded the last 2 white papers, they attended that webinar, and so why would you go push on them content they've already downloaded? They could be further down that stage. And I'm telling you, if they feel like you have a script and you're reading the generic, starting them at the beginning, they're going to be frustrated with that. That could that could delay or disconnect the purchasing decision from the customer, who comes in like they don't even know who I am. I've been in here, I've been all, but we've talked before, and that you don't have those simple records. So making sure that there is integration between sales, marketing, and support is critical.
Absolutely. Yeah, and these are certain important points that you've touched on. And, something we at Engati too believe in this, because context is so important, right? It's like, otherwise it's like, are you even listening to me? The customer is like, hey, I've been here. We've been talking about this since the last 3 days and still throwing this at me. So yeah, it's pretty irritating too. But,
that's a key. Just to talk about in the space that you're in, why it's growing so quickly, why it's so important is exactly that. There's a certain amount of things, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but for the automation side of that, but it's all about that personal connection, that personalization of that experience.
Absolutely.
People don't want to be marketed to.
Right.
They want to go do their own research. People are smart enough to go. You don't need to be heavy-handed to drive people to the sales process. You're a company. I'm at your website. Obviously, you're selling something. But if we build trust and a rapport, if you're providing value through the content, if if I ask questions, you're responding back to, if there's that connection, and the more we connect, the better the information, the richer, the more specific it is for my needs, then we're more likely to have that. And when I ask that question, if there's a real human being that is plugged in and I'm able to connect at the right time, you're more likely to close that business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Christian right here dropping Engati gems for you, ladies and gentlemen. So, well, moving on to the next question, Christian, is now let's talk about these digital marketing campaigns, right? So campaigns normally, or the traditional way is different, but it's very different with the advent of technology these days. So how, according to you, does new technology impact a company's digital marketing campaigns or strategies?
Well, I think that a lot of people don't understand how important a role that content plays in modern digital marketing. And so you see a lot of companies, and I know people that, I have friends that own companies where they primarily provide content to these other companies. And what they do, a lot of them do to keep their prices at a level where people can afford them, is they go hire straight out of college, really good writers. Maybe they've got 2-3 years of experience. They write some beautiful, but generic, but content that is more focused on keywords than it is on, the expertise. And the problem there is that it's like a sugar high that you're giving audiences. After a while, people understand that you're really just scraping the surface of this. There's not really the depth of the subject matter expertise here, and they move on. And so you have to there's value to having a certain amount of content that kind of fits that description. It's the top of the funnel activities. You're spreading your net out to the widest possible audience, and you're driving them in there. But with the modern technology, what we have capable around around our campaigns is it has to get deeper and more focused in as people are retaining the second, third, fourth, fifth layers of technology. When I got into marketing, or when I started on this path back at university, it used to say that it was 5 to 7 marketing touches before a customer makes a decision. I don't know if that was ever true, but that was back in the days of a lot of magazine and newspaper advertising, television advertising, different ways, because there's no other method to get the brand awareness out there. Right. In this day and age, it's at minimum, I'd say 15 to 20 touches of a brand. And so it has to be this coordinated activity to get people more refined, more specific down, to move them down the funnel, down those, down toward a purchasing decision. And so it just wasn't possible to do this, 5, 10, 15 years ago. The technology is getting better and better and less expensive. There's been a lot of consolidation. You see, companies that like Adobe went out and bought Purdue, and you see HubSpot is continued. HubSpot, when they went live, I don't want to beat up on them because they do a fantastic job at a number of things, but I'll tell you, they are so expensive, and there are so many small companies and they're cheaper than Purdue and other massive systems as well. Right. But there are so many other born in the cloud solutions that are out there that can do so much of what HubSpot does for a fraction of the cost. And I see that market only further getting upturned over the next few years. So it's we're getting better at attribution. We're being able to tie together more information about the customer behavior. You can actually track movement on your website. You can immediately reflect and see across social channels what's happening. You can be responsive to comments and movement, both directly against your brand or on behalf of your brand. It's a nicer way of saying that. People saying good things about your brand out there. And immediately there are tools where you can go build a template for responding through multiple channels, through content, through your support network, your customer portal, as well as out through customer or social channels. You can drop that in, have your messaging, and immediately blast it out to multiple platforms. That is something that is relatively new, just in the last 5 to 7 years.
Right, absolutely. I think technology has given a lot of power to businesses these days, and it's in a way decentralized that power and that the vision. I mean, how do I put it? It's like people or corporations don't hold the power to show people what they want to show, right? It's like it's decentralized now, and people and small businesses are picking up, and corporations are having a tough time catching up to these things. So definitely agree to that.
Well, that's why companies that have we'll simplify it. When I talk about, I do stuff within the Microsoft ecosystem. Microsoft has products and services to so many different areas, but most companies are a bit more focused, might be more regional, or even if they're a global company, they've got a couple core products that are around there. But that's why I think some of the fundamentals of marketing that are paid a lot of lip service, but are still so critical of understanding the profiles, the personas that you're marketing to. Right. I've worked with companies where we were so refined on the personas, we gave them names, so people names. So we said, "Hey, I've got a Jennifer on the line," and we knew that Jennifer was the CIO, and here's the profile. Here's the customer journey that Jennifer goes on. So it's just a way that sales and marketing people could communicate very quickly, and we say. We were so refined that we were able to know that, hey, we're continually seeing these questions with Jennifer. We actually need to go improve the content from this technical content to answer these questions that we're not being successful in convincing Jennifer. We're fine with some of the other personas, but it's become a sticking point. Like, you don't know that if you're not tracking the complete journey, all the assets, all of the campaigns that feed in to each of those personas. So doing the personas, understanding the customer journey that each persona goes through. And then when you build your content, map your content across those personas. If you've got 5 core personas that you sell to, from the CEO down to the IT manager or the technical end user of that, whatever that is, you write a new piece of content and say, hey, there's some of this that's for CIO, director of IT, and project manager, but not for the other personas. Right. Map it that way. So that, and then improve on that data as, again, with the tie into the CRM, to tie into your ERP if you're manufacturing a product that way, so that as you're getting more and more data, that what assets have been successful, what you've never used, what your perceptions of what would be of value, what were the driving factors when another mistake made, when somebody buys your product or service. We're slow to go and get real data around why did they buy from us? What was successful that we did? It's one of the basics that we don't have strong data on traditionally, because we want to leave them alone because they've already bought. You're like, yes, but you need to still go capture that information. Just try not to, sour the relationship by collecting information afterwards.
True that. Absolutely. Well, now this is something, the next question is something that we do, conversational AI. Had to bring it up in the conversation. So, and it's picking up a lot of fire too lately, especially post the pandemic. A lot of companies have been adopting technologies like this. So how, according to you, can conversational AI technologies like, chatbots help in a company's digital marketing campaigns?
Well, again, it's more data. It's like anything. So back when, instant messaging was starting to come online back in the late 1990s, and you started to see companies that would go and build that capability on. There's no AI, there was nothing automated behind that. There was, of course, a knowledge base behind so that you could go and kind of search within that, but it was a way of connecting with a real human being. I mean, the thing that's amazing now is that as you're collecting more and more information, ticketing information, product updates, customer feedback, you can then start to, again, you have that knowledge base of information. You can now put this AI in the front end of that and answer the majority of those questions that come in. And you can, what's nice is if there's a question that the AI doesn't know the answer to, the AI can actually alert somebody at the product team or the support organization and suddenly swap out and a live human being jump in and take it from there. Or log it as, hey, don't know, we're going to get back to you. Thank you very much. But it's a way that you can focus your efforts. So you're not spending all your time, all your effort on being that front line of support or answering those questions, and field those questions and answer them much more quickly. And so it's more of a self-serve model for a lot of customers to have that capability. But it's also just richer and richer data so that hey, 7 out of 10 of the questions that came in were about our UI. We need to fix our UI. And it's difficult to go in there when it's natural language, when it's IM, or if we're on the phone together to capture the information accurately. When it's through the chat AI, you can actually capture, this is where the user was on our website, this is what they were doing within our product, and capture all of that instantly so that hey, every time they're hitting this page on our site, we're getting 7 out of 10 times this question asked. What do we need to do about the flow of our site or the service that we provide, and be able to answer that? So I look at it from the marketing side. Getting that information, that then informs your marketing team. This is where we need to go and adjust those personas, those journeys, the content, where, hey, we just identified people keep asking about X, this feature, this need, and none of our competitors do it. Maybe we should go build a campaign around that area that our customers have identified. Or if we see that most people are asking the same question, you go and create a campaign around that. You build content and you answer that question as part of a campaign. If 7 out of 10 people that are reaching your website are asking that similar question, that's an opportunity for a campaign. That's going to get more clicks, more views, more downloads. And with all those things, if you're measuring and you have the close alignment between sales and marketing in these campaigns, you'll know that you're going to increase the success of those conversions for those activities because you're delivering exactly what people want.
Right, exactly. Yeah, data has the answer to all. Definitely agree to that.
You cannot improve what you are not measuring.
Exactly on point. For sure. Yep. Those are golden words, and it's since the ancient times is what they say. And now it's pretty much easier too with the technologies coming in. There's a lot of data coming in, and specific data for that matter, where is the user clicking? What is he interested in? And that's empowered the businesses crazy these days.
Yeah, I'll just really quick, I'll say about that is that we're at a kind of a point in time where when the price of storage has dropped down so dramatically, organizations are just retaining all information. And there's other issues around that. You need to have a life cycle on content. There's legal risk by having something out there. But anyway, we have massive amounts of data just growing exponentially daily, monthly, just, a monthly basis. An average organization is like, terabytes, if not, petabytes of information that are being captured. But what we're not doing is a good job of accessing, surfacing the important data from that. That's where the AI, that's where the machine learning, the cognitive services, all of that capability, that's where the potential is. That's where things are going next, is actually doing something with that data.
Absolutely. Yeah, the exciting times coming in the future, I think. Well, this brings us to the end of the conversation. Such great insights. Well, I have one last question left for you, Kristen. Are there any other thoughts, any sound bites that you'd like to leave our audience with?
I don't know. I've used all my good sound bites there, but no, it's, I just kind of go back to the same. It's like a lot of this, when I say that, the attribution, so actually tracking and measuring is really difficult to do around the marketing activities. But it's a worthwhile for sure, but necessary pursuit. Companies that are able to capture that data and do something with it. So actually go and link between these systems are those that are going to outperform their competitors. You may have a superior product, but if you're not able to track the patterns of behavior from the users and give them those personalized experiences back, then you're going to lose, period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But there you have it, guys. None other than Christian Buckley dropping gems for you exclusively on Engati CX. The takeaway from this is that you've got to monitor and measure your data, and that's where your customer behavior lies, and that's where success lies. So there you have it. And thank you so much, Christian, for giving us your time. Your insights were extremely valuable, and I know our audience are really going to enjoy this show.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk, and we'll connect soon.
For sure. Pleasure was ours. And we'll be back with a new episode and a brand new expert soon. So stay tuned, and we'll see you around for the next one.